Note that our organization, the Society for Crypto-Judaic Studies, began about 31 years ago by a small group of academics, a rabbi who was the former state historian of the state of New Mexico, Dr. Stanley Hordes, the author of the definitive work on the hidden Jews of the Southwest. The title is To the End of the Earth, New Mexico's Crypto Jews. He and some colleagues said, we need to talk more about this. There were 3 of them. Let's get together, let's meet once a year, let's bring our ideas together. Since that time, the field of research has expanded widely. The small group of then about a dozen like-minded souls who made up the original membership has swelled to almost 300 academics, genealogists, theologians, historians, assorted descendants, all on the trail of the Spanish and Portuguese Jewish diaspora of the 14th, 16th, and 17th centuries. Juggling Identities is one of the seminal texts that you should buy and read again if you want to know about how people develop their identity in secret, what it means to be living, juggling your identities, both then and now. Tracing the family stories about crypto-Judaic customs passed down through foods, passed down through things that happened in the home. Here in St. Augustine, here we are in 2018, and we're going to have the privilege of seeing a play tonight, The Secret by Lee Weaver, a play that tells the story of a medieval Jew and his betrayal. Theater is a definitive vehicle for telling this story. In Jerusalem as we speak, The Hidden Ones plays to Jerusalem audiences. Next year in Denver, the play Conviction, a drama about a medieval monk in love with a Jewess, will be performed. It was back in 2008 when I went to my first meeting of the Society for Crypto-Judaic Studies. First person I met who knew something was different about her life. She knew she was different from everybody, didn't know why. Turns out, yep, she finds out, yep, they were Jewish, all right, and then she comes out. And the first time I learned of the experience of what happens in this modern day, well, if you're crypto and then you come out, well, you're no longer hidden, so you're really not crypto. So you say, okay, I'm a descendant of crypto Jews, but once you're out, you're not hidden anymore. So you get some pushback. Not everybody's so happy when they find out that they have this heritage. And in the modern day, families break up because of this. Families are torn apart. So we say, oh, crypto Jews, where do you find them? Well, they're not standing on a street in Albuquerque waving at you. They don't have a synagogue because it's all in private. It's all at home. It's a secret. And being secretive and private is part of the culture. It's what makes a crypto Jew not just somebody who happens to be Jewish attending a congregation. And introduce yourself to me. I want to know more about why you're here, what SCJS will be able to bring to you in the future. And again, I would like to thank the St. Augustine Jewish Historical Society, especially my good friend Merrill Shapiro, who I met just a few years ago in Santa Fe. We bonded over a piece of history that he taught me, and we haven't stopped talking since. So enjoy the rest of the conference.
I'm Rebecca Jefferson.
Okay. And Rebecca, what brings you to this? This is what, a crypto-Jewish conference?
Conference, right.
Okay.
Right.
And what brings you? What kind of information were you sharing with the attendees?
I was invited by Rabbi Shapiro because we've been collaborating on a number of projects. I am the head of the Price Library of Judaica at the University of Florida, and Rabbi Shapiro wanted me to come and share some of the resources of the library for the attendees of the conference so that they could know what we were collecting and some of the projects that we're doing that might be of interest to them.
Okay. And what things are you collecting?
In 2014, we won a national grant to enable us to collect the histories of the Jews of Florida, Latin America, and the Caribbean.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wonderful. These funds are enabling us to do various partnerships with institutions in Latin America and with groups and individuals here in Florida. So we are doing things like scanning projects, Jewish newspapers in Mexico and in Argentina. We've done projects to capture the data recorded by groups studying Jewish tombstones in Jamaica.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
Jamaican Jews.
yes.
Oh man, oh man,
Right,
oh
yes,
wow.
yes. We're partnering with a synagogue in Cuba, in Havana, Cuba, to digitize their books.
Okay.
We are doing many projects like this because we really strongly believe in collecting and sharing and preserving all of these mainly hidden materials so that scholars can use them.
Yes,
and,
yes. It's
illuminate
interesting
our
you say
history.
that. I was reading an article of Colegio de Artes Mecánicas of Mayagüez, Puerto Rico.
Right.
Started a whole DNA thing because they're realizing that a lot of those early settlers of Puerto Rico
Right.
were Converso Jews.
Right.
So all these
So
Puerto
interesting.
Ricans have a Jewish
Right,
connection
right.
and they don't know it.
Wow.
And it's very, so when you're talking about Jews in Jamaica or in Mexico,
Right.
I see,
Yes,
yeah.
and I think
yeah.
it's very pertinent to this conference because so much of that history is still hidden.
Yes.
And we really need to get to those materials that will
Wow,
shed light.
wow.
Cast
Now I
light
pick
on
up an
those
accent.
materials. Yes, that's right.
You're from-
I'm from England originally.
Okay, it's a
that's
British
right.
accent.
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
all right,
Yes.
all right. So wow, it's very interesting work, and
Thank you.
you sharing these things here, I think are part what these conferences are all about.
Yeah, I hope
knowledge.
so. Yes, I hope
more
so. And
knowledge.
also, when you speak to people, that can spark ideas, and
Yes.
someone can say, "Oh, I know someone who's got a
Right.
collection." Or,
Yeah, bingo, treasure trove.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Lovely to speak to you.
Basically, you might say, what does someone in Australia have to do with crypto-Jews? Well, actually, I've only worked in Australia for the last couple years, but I've been studying crypto-Jews, particularly in the southwest of the United States, for over 20 years, and doing ethnographic field work for much of that time. So that's the basis of my own work and the basis of the ideas that I'll present to you today. And so that's the first question that I'm going to be addressing. What is the basis upon which we can use DNA evidence, historical evidence, and other kinds of material evidence? What does it really tell us? Then the second thing, which will be the largest part of my talk, will really be focusing on the question of how do people within the crypto-Judaic community construct their own identities? What's important for them as an inside approach to saying, I am a crypto-Jew, and these are the things that are constituent of what it means to me to be a crypto-Jew. And then the third bit of what I'll talk about is asking the question, okay, from an external perspective, what do academics largely, but not only academics, also religious communities do to say we have a right to define what this community is and how it constructs itself and who belongs to it and who doesn't. And the people that define who and what are a crypto-Jew are the people themselves. That it's not the historians, it's not the anthropologists, it's not the rabbis who determine what a crypto-Jew is. It's the crypto-Jewish community and individuals within that community who make identity choices that determine whether and if they are crypto-Jews. And that's the fundamental point that I'll get to, but now let's get on the journey which will take us there.
Merrill Shapiro, Rabbi Merrill Shapiro, president of the St. Augustine Jewish Historical Society.
All right. Now you guys have a big event here at the World Golf Village, one of these nice rooms they have, and it's all about, it's a crypto Jews conference, basically.
Exactly. There have been over the course of history, and there are continuing people who are hiding their Judaism. Originally, largely because of the Spanish Inquisition, although during the Holocaust there were people who sought to hide their Jews, and even going back to the Bible, the biblical Esther and the story of Purim with Mordecai and Vashti and Achashverosh was also, she hid her religion and sort of passed as so she could be a member of the harem.
Right. So what points do you hope this conference covers?
Okay, so we recognize that the awareness of crypto Jews is very small. That crypto Jewry in the past 5 centuries was more an issue of the expulsion from Spain and the Spanish Inquisition, and thus the overwhelming majority of American Jews and Americans in general are oriented towards Europe, Eastern Europe, Central Europe, Western Europe, but not of Spain. Many Americans have no idea the Spanish Inquisition was in effect on their soil up until even beyond 1763. And it really had an important influence on what Florida was, is, and has
especially
become.
St. Augustine, right?
St. Augustine is the heart of it all.
Wow.
And to understand what St. Augustine is about, you really need to understand the Spanish Inquisition and its effect. It's not a distant thing, but it was right here.
Right. I saw some of your speakers, and the topics are fascinating.
We are delighted to have them here, and they are here to make us think. In fact, if we are successful, we have a mathematical formula. If people came here with 10 questions, we hope they'll leave with 100 questions, okay? And want to delve more into this subject matter and discover some of these things for themselves.
Yeah, everything from Jamaican Jews to pirates. I mean,
who would have thought? Who would have thought that crypto Jews? Jews are always the studious, sit over their books and are the mild mannered. They're the accountants and so on. The idea that Jews were pirates, nobody would have any idea.
Right,
Nobody
right.
would have any idea.
Well, thank you very much, and I think this is awesome.
And thank you, Jorge. And FirstCoast.tv is a genuine treasure in our midst, for which we are all grateful.
You're very welcome.
You bind us together, and that's an important endeavor. And you do it so well. We're eternally grateful.
You're more than welcome. my
Okay.
friend.
Thank
All
you.
So
right.
we're going